Daniel Den. Thank you so much for coming on the Inner Edison Podcast. I appreciate you being here today.
Ed Parcaut, let's go. Inner
I
Edison.
know you with all the texting and everything else, and I got this big package from you whenever you're like, hey, here's my book. I'm gonna send you a package, and this whole nice box that got me on, got other people on my podcast. It was great, product marketing. It was amazing.
My pleasure, Ed. Thank you.
I saw that. I'm like, okay, how can I do that for my book? How can I do that? And they're like, well, it's $25,000. Oh, well, we can talk a little bit later.
Yeah, a little pricey. You got it. Yeah. Anyway, but
it's like a book. A good book done right costs $40,000.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you have that whole operation and you can get it done cheaper. But if you're doing it through somebody else to help you write, a good place is going to be that. Because I know friends of mine who cheaped it out at 10 grand, and I'm like, that's a horrible cover. That's the worst cover I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You can't say that to them because they'll get upset.
And then the details, like if you stack those details, it makes a big difference. So like, I mean, Armosi talks about it all the time. Mm-hmm. You can write a 7 or an 8 out of 10 book, but if you want to break through the noise in 2024, like you're going to want to be that 9 or that 10 out of 10. That's the level that we're playing at in 2024. That's the reality, because there's too much competition out there.
See, that's the level I've always been playing at. What I mean by that is I always wanted to do the best I possibly can. My grandfather, when I was a kid, goes, the most expensive tool in the shed is the cheapest one, because it breaks and you have to replace it multiple times. And so quality is the most important thing, not quantity, quality. So to me,
so. I was one of the first people to post videos on YouTube. And at the time, quantity worked. So this was like 2007, 2008. And we like put out like 200 videos, and I would get tons of traffic off of these. Eventually, other people started posting to YouTube, and then my videos produced nothing because it was just low quality quantity, right? And low quality quantity only works if you're the only one doing something. But when you've got real competition, then you've got to shoot for that, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 that breaks through the noise, because quality is going to win out in the end for that type of stuff.
But I want to stay here for a second, but do the videos. Then you get good at the videos. Then you get the quality, because until you know how to do it and get to a point, you have to shoot. And that's why I have like thousands of videos on my YouTube channel. Now I'm starting to slow down now and do it differently. But up to this point, for the last few years, it was about quantity, and they're good quality, but it was about, I wanted to get it done so I could get practice at it and get really good at it, and not, I don't want to come off wrong here, but not care, meaning that I care about my videos. I care about what I put, but I don't care what, if it's not exactly what you want. You have to get to a point where you don't care for what people say. And then I learned this the other day, which is huge. Most people don't understand this. Don't run away from your haters. Engage with your haters. Because they're going to be, they'll talk and talk and talk and talk and get that algorithm going, where people who love you will occasionally like and comment. These guys will continually comment. And I had viral videos because some people were calling me idiot and all this other stuff because they didn't understand what we were doing. And half the people were like, that's right, you can do that. The other half is like, no, you can't do that.
So. No, I've dealt with that. So I've done a lot of videos. So when we grew our following down in Brazil with my business partner, Pedro Superti, at first, so Daniel Den is it's my professional name. And I started getting a bunch of algorithm juice because, so my legal name is Daniel Pereira, right? And that is a Brazilian name, but I'm not Brazilian. I was born in the US. And so I would get these comments every single day where people would say, why is this guy pretending to be American. This is the actual comment. They would say in the comments, stop pretending to be American with your fake American accent. What they didn't realize was that I was American and Portuguese actually was my second language, and I wasn't faking an accent. That was my actual accent. But but I would get a lot of algorithm juice just because people kept commenting, who is this guy pretending to be an American talking about marketing and sales? So it was really interesting, the whole controversy. And your haters, they can help you fail forward, basically, right?
They're the best. People don't, because it used to be we would say, what should I do with them? Hide them and ignore them. And then I saw what happened with my one video on TikTok that went viral. And then a good friend of mine, Brian Galke, I told him, because we do a ACES 53 podcast, which is for sales, which is attitude, commitment, enthusiasm, and smiles, what you bring to the table in sales, because it's 4 aces and a joker. And the joker is that unique ability you have that either learned or is natural. Mine was my voice. I sold by the phone. I didn't understand I had a deeper voice until I put headphones on. And so we did That's Our Podcast, but I was telling him about it. And he had one where he was like, your eyebrow above, that's above your eye. And then one guy was like, where else would it be? And that thing went like over 3 million because of all the viral, because of the stupid comments like that. And then he had another one go viral because he was talking about, this is what the FBI does. And that went viral because he said the words, this is what the FBI.
Yeah.
You never know. And then we don't do stuff to go viral. I tell people, focus on that one, your client, whoever your customer is, focus it to that. That's it. You don't need 1 million people to see it if you're focusing to your customers.
Right.
Depending on what you got to figure out why you're doing it. But before you know that, you got to know who your perfect client is, or what you guys, everybody calls avatar. I still think they're your perfect client, but
yeah.
When I hear hack, I think of the days when I used to break into places when I was younger. So.
There you go.
Yeah.
And well, the hacks are short term. And so we are big on strategy and focusing on quality, and then taking the home run, grand slam, viral videos that just out of happenstance happened, and saying thank you, algorithms. That's just it's bonus. You never want to plan the business around virality per se. Now you can engineer it, but at some point people are going to kind of realize, oh, they're just kind of engineering this virality.
Well, it just depends. The ones that are really viral, those videos about nothing, right? They're throwing balloons at each other and popping stuff. They're, those people that do those things. And some people, that's their whole thing. That's fine. That's what you do. Yeah. Mine's education. So it's different.
Right.
It just happens, 1 or 2 things go viral, and it doesn't, when somebody searches Google for, like I had some veterans search for off-grid property, blah, blah, blah. And they called me because of one of my videos, because the way they searched it, it came up. That's what you want to focus on.
Right.
What are you trying to do? Are you trying to build business from your, your brick and mortar, whatever your business is? Is that why you're doing it? Or are you trying to be an influencer? My goal is never to be an influencer, whether or not I am or not. It doesn't matter. According to my numbers, they say I am, but I don't think I am.
That's a perfect distinction, Ed. So when it comes to manufacturing virality, if I'm in the entertainment business, if I'm just trying to be an influencer to get views, that's one thing. But you and we're talking to business owners. And so we're not going to try to force virality per se, because we have back-end goals and we're trying to attract our dream customers. And so we need to be intentional with our messaging and intentional with the videos that we're putting out there. And then when the viral hits happen, then that's the bonus. But we're mainly focused on attracting those dream customers. And that's why we're getting results, right?
Right. People think it's done overnight. It's not done overnight. It's done in over years. And you were talking about listening to Alex. I've actually been going through all of his podcasts recently because I'm revamping everything. So I was the president of my Rotary. You probably heard that in one of my episodes, for the last year. And I'm like, okay. And my year was please, this is not trying to brag, but it was freaking amazing. Got everybody back together. We did all these outside events that we don't normally do. We won a lot of awards. I did a fire walk for veterans. So I did a lot of give back to the community, and I'm like, okay, I'm done now. It's all about me and my business, back to that, because it took a back seat because that was over a part-time job on top of everything else I did. Plus my industry was in the toilet for the last year and a half. So,
right. The mortgage industry,
yeah,
it's not been the easiest recently.
I mean, my worst year is other people's best year, but I don't like my worst year. I hate it. I can't go on as many trips and a lot of stuff that I want to do, and I don't have my whole staff to take care of everything.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
So,
ups and downs.
Well, and I don't mind business up and downs, but if it's not something you did, right? This was done by, we won't get into political stuff, but the way it was set up, and it didn't have to be. We didn't have to go through this.
Yeah, I was talking to my brother-in-law about that the other day, and it's like, okay, the stimuluses, and then like we knew that there was going to be repercussions eventually, but we didn't know how it would play out. And you hindsight's 2020. You don't know what you don't know. But yes, when it's outside of your control, the important thing is that you recognize that. So down in Brazil, we got hit with a big lawsuit, and it hurt our business really badly. Like this was like about a year into the pandemic. And it was just a blindside out of our control. And we recognize that, though. And so when you recognize that there's things that are there's two columns, right? There's the items, the action items that are in your control, and there's the ones that are outside of your control. And you just got to roll with the punches for things that are outside of your control. And you got to really maintain focus on what you can control, because at the end of the day, extreme ownership, it's up to you where you're steering your ship when the rainy day comes, right?
Right. And I mean, if you look at anybody who's made it, they've lost multiple times.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things. It's like, I knew the moment the pipeline was shut down that we were going to have inflation. And then the next thing, then you had somebody, and again, I'm sorry if I'm getting political, but when you have the transportation secretary take off 6 months instead of deal with the transportation problem because he's having a baby, that's great. But you are in charge of a country with take the kid to work for a couple days or whatever and get this thing resolved and go back home. But it's just focus on, you signed up to be this person. You have to be that person. And I'm prior military, so it's all about service above self. These people are self above service. And that's the difference between business owners and other people. So.
Yeah, no, it's
a
weird world we live in, right, Ed? Weird world we live in.
Yeah. Well, you say Brazil. What are you doing in Brazil? I know that's where you're from. Yeah.
That is the genesis of, so you have my book now, you have the box experience. Over the past 12 years, my co-author on the book, Pedro Superti, and I, we started this whole movement around the X Factor Effect methodology, which is basically a methodology about differentiating your business to the point where you become a solid market leader or category king or category queen in your market. And we just crushed down in Brazil. We helped thousands of people. In fact, we had over 20,000 students and clients, big events. Our biggest event was right before the pandemic hit, 7,400 people in an event in Sao Paulo, Brazil. All business owners and entrepreneurs excited about innovation, differentiation, and breaking through the noise in their markets by doing things differently. And we fine-tuned that methodology over the years, and then we started to get clients outside of Brazil as well. And eventually, it came time to start taking our methodology to the English-speaking market, because English is my first language, Portuguese is my second language, but we intentionally used Brazil as a training ground for our methodologies to prove our concepts could help people in a big way, and business owners in a big way. But knowing that eventually we were going to fine tune our processes, our unique methodologies, and then take them worldwide. And now you have ideas that influence the book in your hand. And that is one of the pillars to our X Factor Effect methodology. And one of our favorite pillars, breaking through the noise with your marketing message. And yeah, that's the kickoff for us to share this methodology that we've been working so hard on for the past 12 years worldwide. So there we go.
Well, when I was reading your book, one of the chapters when it was talking about microphone chapter.
Yeah, the microphone message. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to talk about that?
Oh, sure. So
was I going to say more about that and tell you your own book? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I think it's so important to get in, do podcasts and other stuff so people know who you are. And a lot of people are afraid to. So,
yeah. So conceptually, there's this. So this is the basis for the microphone message. So if you're in a networking group and let's say there's 30 members that show up tonight to your networking group. Everybody has a minute to introduce themselves. Okay. Out of those 30 people, usually there's going to be one person where whatever they said during their 60 seconds, it's going to really get people to perk up. And they're like, wait a second. Did you hear what Ed just said? Wait, maybe we should give Ed a few more moments here to explain further, because that was interesting. That was exciting. Let's hand the microphone back to Ed. And so the concept of the marketing, the microphone message for your marketing efforts is this. In 2024, we're all exposed every single day to about 4,000 to 10,000 different marketing messages and ads every single day. This is according to a recent Forbes article. And out of those 4,000 to 10,000 things vying for your attention today, what broke through the noise? What made you sit up and pay attention, even if it was just for a couple minutes? And when it comes to your unique marketing message that breaks through the noise, once you understand the wants, needs, and desires of your dream customers, you can craft a microphone message that does break through the noise and that grabs your dream customer by the shoulders and says, this is what you've been looking for. This is for you. This is the one thing out of all of the garbage out there and noise. This is the one thing that you should pay attention to today, because this was crafted for you. Now, inside of your business, when you can get to that point where you have that winning microphone message, it is a game changer for your business.
Well, most people think of it as an elevator pitch, right? Technically, some people call it that. But people ask me all the time, and it depends on if I want to talk to them or not, what I do.
Yeah. And you have different answers, right?
Right. Yeah. What do you do?
Yeah.
I'm in the mortgage industry. That means I don't want to talk.
Yeah, exactly.
But if I help create the largest debt in your life, they might want to know more, or I help people tell their stories across multiple mediums. It depends on what it's about getting people to ask that question. Oh, what more? What can I get? And that's important.
Yeah.
And I think people don't realize how. I'm sorry, Daniel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was saying, yeah, you want them to say, yeah, whoa, tell me more. Like, what's that?
Yeah. And people don't know that. They need to craft those things. I used to go to a lot of Steve Sims speakeasy, and he would have everybody write those while they're there. But for the other person, they're talking to the other person, they write it, and then you'd have each other do it. After the first one or two, then we would cheat because we knew it was coming. So we knew exactly what to do. But it's important. You need to have that down. So when someone asks you, what do, you can have that conversation to engage with them.
Yeah. And people, when they don't know how impactful those few moments need to be, then they end up just being caught up in what we call the sea of sameness. So the sea of sameness is, out of those 4,000 to 10,000 things trying to catch your attention yesterday, 4,000 to 999,000 9,999 of them yesterday got caught up in the sea of sameness. It was more of the same. Oh, well, okay, yeah, I've seen that, I've seen that, I've seen that. And then there was the one thing, right? And so that's what we're going for. When it comes to ideas that influence and, elevator pitch, things like that. Once you have that, then we go even further, like, okay, let's deepen this messaging even more. Let's figure out the right hooks that really captivate people's attention. And then we go from there. But what we've seen is that when business owners have this down pat, it can be, and this isn't a financial claim, but it can be the difference between a business making a couple $100,000 in sales and then doing tens of millions. Because when you have that message that breaks through the noise, it really does make all the difference. There are one of my favorite examples in the book. We have, like, for example, Lego. Before Lego existed, there was not a system of play, meaning every single toy people bought for their children was a one-off. There wasn't a system of play that built upon other systems. And that was a game changer. That was a differentiator. And then when parents understood that this was not only a toy that was part of a system that could be built upon other systems and all the pieces could work together, but that it also taught STEM skills, that's why Lego is the most profitable toy company in the history of the world, because of that difference. And that messaging behind that difference is what put Lego on the map as the most popular toy brand in the world.
Yeah, better than a Rector set. That was the metal ones where there was metal pieces that build stuff out of the metal pieces. That was really bad. What was I gonna? Back to your statement about the microphone message, and you're talking about how much difference between 200 to a million or 2 million, whatever it is. I think the biggest thing is the difference between knowing who your perfect client is. You can't draft that message without knowing that. And to get to that point, you have to know that. And there's so many people I talk to that have no idea who their perfect client is. They think it's everybody. It can't be everybody. I know who my perfect client is. I know that it's about what I do for a living. There's two people that I help out really well, and those are my perfect clients. You can have two perfect clients. Mine are two different markets, but they're both about dignity. I work with dignity and I give dignity, and that's the difference, because I know who my clients are. But you need to know that, and you need to dive down, and that could take you years to figure that out.
Yeah, it can. There's 7 main elements we teach for the perfect microphone message. And that's like the undeniable, like you can't skip that one. You have to dial in. You have to dial in the dream customer, the avatar, however you want to word it. We teach in the book, you need to dial that in, and you need to make the message all about them. We say, put your audience center stage. That's the one you can't skip. Then the other ones are very important, not as important as the first. But a lot of them were like, you don't really want to skip these either. You kind of want to hit on all 7. For example, because we love stories. Stories move us. Examples move us. Another one of my favorite examples in the book is P90X. So P90X, for a really long time, they were running infomercials with mediocre success. This was before P90X. I almost said P90X. That's kind of weird. Anyway,
that's a different version of it.
That is a different version of it.
No, I did P90X. I love P90X and the whole, not the sex, but X, P90X. And I interviewed one of the biggest losers who then started doing stuff, and he lost it through P90X and he was on stage and everything. So
nice.
Not through here. It was through Aces 53. He is a MC now, master of ceremonies for everybody. So
love it. Yeah. So $1 billion brand P90X. P90X, they dialed in their avatar very well. You and I are one of their main avatars, but it wasn't until they discovered a specific X factor, giving a nod back to our X factor effect methodologies, the differentiator in their marketing message. So they were like, they had a lot of infomercials breaking even or making a little bit of money, but then one day somebody says, you know what? Let's test out this concept called muscle confusion. And when they introduced the concept of muscle confusion as part of their message, then it took off like wildfire. People got it. They were like, oh, that's what makes P90X different. It's because of the muscle confusion aspect of it, that the rapid weight loss, and I'm doing quote fingers, can happen because of this. But nobody was talking about that concept of muscle confusion before. P90X was the first. They ran with it, and then all of a sudden sales take off because people watching these infomercials, they have what's referred to as a big aha moment where they say, oh, that's the reason why this is different. That's the reason why it works. It's because of muscle confusion.
Yeah, I always hated their yoga.
And so
that was my worst day. I hated their yoga. I'm sorry. It was just not my thing. Because I used to do that before I would go on my training rides for my for triathlons.
Yeah. Wow. That's tough. See, I do CrossFit now, and yeah, I'm constantly reminded, oh yeah, I'm definitely muscle confusion is a real thing with CrossFit.
Yeah, you got that was the only sport I tore a quad in.
Oh no, yeah.
And it was like the dumb, just because I was so exhausted and I didn't stop, and I did one more, and that was it. So
yeah, no,
clean and jerk.
That's the downside of the peer. It's pretty much like you're peer pressured into pushing yourself more. But
P90X really push, P90X really could push you. I mean, because there were so many different versions. I don't mean to stick on this, but it was just something. There were so many versions of that, and then there were so many other. Beachbody was huge. When we got now this, try this, and now. Yeah. And now I don't even see it anymore because I got rid of cable years ago. I do YouTube TV so I can get, the Broncos game. But, and you don't see commercials.
Yeah. When we do see commercials, we're like, oh, like it's a commercial, guys. Like, well, don't take a bathroom break. It's the commercial time. At least for me, because I'm a marketer. So
there's other ways, there's other places to go to get that information. You see it online, you see it other places. It follows you on YouTube.
Yeah,
unless you pay for YouTube, then you can get rid of it. So
yeah. But I remember because I used to be a super affiliate, so meaning I would buy lots of ads and send ads to like affiliate offers and stuff, and so this was like 2009 ish where I really started to do well. And then I started learning, there was this thing that came out called ad blockers. And I was like, why would the browsers introduce this? Like, this is part of how the money is being made, and they're introducing these ad blockers. I don't get it. And then myself, I'm like, I would never put an ad blocker. Why would I do that? Then I can't see the ads. I love ads. So
yeah, but I mean, what are you going to do? Things change. All right. If somebody could only read one thing in your book, what's the most important thing they should read?
Well, differentiate or die. So the chapter on the X factor effect methodology is, so like in the book, like we talk about, you want a message that evokes emotion, and you want to share a story, and you want it to be sticky and shareable and provide an aha moment. You want it to be a focused message. You want to put your audience center stage. But at the end of the day, what stops the scroll is something unique. And specifically, when it comes to the X factor effect methodology, we want something unique, that stops the scroll, that specifically shouts and grabs the attention of our dream customers and says, this is not only different, but this is specifically for you different. And this is really cool. So pay attention. And so the whole chapter on the X Factor Effect methodology, if I could only choose one aspect of a message that breaks through the noise, other than dialing in your avatar, because you can't skip that one. Like, hopefully everybody listening understands that basics of marketing and sales. Don't skip avatar day. Don't skip leg day. Don't skip avatar day. So
yeah, that's one thing I didn't do, is skip leg day.
there you go. And then once you haven't skipped avatar day and you have that dialed in, make it different. Make it different in a way that your dream customers love. Meaning, like, we're not going to dress Ed up like a clown to be different, right? I don't know if that's going to move the needle and sell more mortgages. It might, but it's usually not the type of different that we're going for.
Right.
So different in a way that your dream customers love.
Right. You got to differentiate yourself somehow, and you got to become an authority in your industry somehow. You'll figure that out. But I forgot. I just lost my train of thought. I'm telling you, it must be my allergies. I'm drinking hot water because of my allergies are killing me.
Oh man. Yeah. It's that. Yeah. What time?
That's the one thing we have here, because it gets real hot and then cold at night. And so you got that change in temperature constantly that messes with us.
Yeah. Because it's like a desert over there, right?
It's like a desert. It is a desert.
There you
go. It just has a bunch of grass and trees and stuff we put in it, since it's no longer a desert. The problem is I walk 5 miles a day. So the outside, and that's why I have the problem also, because I'm outside instead of staying inside all the time.
I'm jealous, man. I've been missing my walks lately. Like I was in the habit of walking at least 3 miles a day, and I haven't been able to do it lately. So I got to get back to that. So.
I just like it's easier on my knees. So than running. Okay.
Yeah.
I can run it, but I burn more fat when I walk. It's just been proven for me.
So some of my favorite days last year were, I would throw on an old Dan Kennedy training and go for my daily walk. And like
I told you, I've been listening to Alex, so it's been pretty easy, and I started for the newest and went back.
There you go.
Yeah. And he talks about a lot of the stuff that we talk about. He just says it a little differently than other people think about it. The stuff's been around forever. I mean, you can, a lot of the stuff that we hear and we regurgitate, they'd say they heard it before from somebody else. They're just saying it again. And it's like, oh, wow, that's from the first time. No, you can go all the way back to Zig Ziglar. But it's just how it's redone. Because everybody's talking about, oh, old is new. It's like, no, old is not new. Old has been around forever. Just switch it, change it to how it works for you.
Yeah, 100%. What I've noticed is this: when it comes to the psychology of marketing and sales, the principles have not changed. So as long as what we're teaching, so you can create something different, you can create a new methodology. Going to the cake analogy, you can take the same ingredients for a cake and create a new version of a cake that's delicious, that people will love. But the principles will remain the same. The principles for the cake are, you got to have the flour, you got to have the sugar, you got to have the eggs, etc. Right? Those are the principles. When it comes to everything Ed is talking about, as long as we are teaching and sharing stories and helping you be inspired through the correct marketing and sales principles, then you can win. But if we stray from those, then we could lead you astray. Now, the tactics, those are changing every single day. So what's the newest TikTok going to be here 2 years from now? I don't know what the new TikTok is going to be, but it's a tactical change to channel switch to whatever that new thing is. But the correct marketing and sales principles will need to be used on whatever new tactic or platform that is for us to have success on that 2 years from now. And we can take everything we're learning today and apply it to whatever that new thing is, that new tactic is 2 years from now. And we will be in a great, amazing place because the principles don't change.
Right. What people don't realize, first it was a phone book. Then it was, you had ads on billboards and had ad on, bus stops. Then internet came, then other stuff came where all you're doing is it's the message you're just putting in different areas. Direct mail.
Yeah.
I was a huge direct mail guy in the
Yeah.
90s, like huge. I mean, like the biggest in San Diego.
San Diego,
And, yeah. And that still works today because it's still direct to consumer. It's the same thing. It's just the difference was that one I could get to the address and directly to them and know exactly what they were doing. Where now, like on Facebook, you can't really anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to figure out where's the best place for your message, and don't worry. And this is one thing I heard today from Alex, and it was nice to hear because that's how I've been. Is don't follow the fads. Don't worry about, oh, this hashtag is important right here, or do this now over here and this. No, just focus on your message, keep it true to who it is, and then, make the changes that you need to, but don't follow fads. Just the big companies don't, so.
Agreed. Yeah. A fad, a hashtag, whatever it is, that's tactical stuff. You can throw it into the mix, but I mean, big level strategic, like what's going to move the needle? Right. That's the area we like to play in, because when you play in that area, you can move the needle in a big way. Like, I mean, I use the example of, are you supposed to split test the website and do ABC and like split test all the headlines and the images? And yes, you are. And then you're going to see like a 10, 20, 30, maybe a 50% bump in conversions. But if we want to double or triple our take rates, then we need to play in the realm of high level strategic. And that's where, with everything Ideas That Influence, it's like, let's really dial in like the best message for your dream customers. And then you can get to the point where it's going to break through the noise, it's going to work. And that's a great place to be at. And you just are like, I know it's going to work. I just don't know how well it's going to work. And as a marketer, whether it be direct mail, in 2024, because we're helping people with direct mail and that's still working as well.
Because nobody's doing it.
Yeah, because nobody's doing it. You're zigging.
It's costly. It's costly, but not more costly than online.
Yeah, exactly. Zig when others zag. Direct mail works. So it's all about breaking through the noise strategically with that perfect message, and you can do it. But
let's go back to your cake analogy. It's like when they put it in the pan, to get out of the pan at first, they would use shortening or whatever, and it would stick a little bit. And then they went with oil, and then they did Pam came with the spray, and then there's parchment paper now. Just different ways of, all it is different ways of doing it, but how do it a little bit better. And that's all it is change it until it does it a little bit better. You still could go back to the old way and do it, but you'd much rather use the newer stuff.
There you go. Yeah, 100%.
Dan, how do people? Oh, I'm sorry, I called you Dan instead of Daniel.
Oh no, it's fine. I get that all the time.
I'm just messing with you. So, how do people find you? Who are you looking for? Are you looking for coaching clients? What are you looking for?
Our dream customers, specifically, when you are the business owner and you are heavily involved with your marketing. So you're the business owner. You're heavily involved with your marketing, and you've been struggling with the marketing. Okay, you're our dream customer. And the easiest way to get in touch with me in 2024, because we have Ideas That Influence, is to go grab Ideas That Influence. It's the book plus the box experience. It's the only thing like it. It's free plus shipping. It's amazing. You're going to love it. You can grab yours at bigideasbox.com.
All right, so I'll put that in the show notes also. So if you didn't write it down that quick, don't worry about it. It's in the show notes. Daniel, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Ed. You are amazing. Thank you so much.
I don't know about that, but thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right. Thanks again.